for everybody. It ain't 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 for everybody. Yeah, many you call, but few get chosen. Matthew 22:14. My righteousness gonna exceed that of the Pharisees.
If you're looking for high quality clothing at affordable costs, check out PeculiarApparel.com. My name is Dawad.
And I'm Shayar, and we are the owners of Peculiar Apparel. All of our products are made with 100% natural fabrics, no mixed materials.
We have t-shirts for the man, woman, and child. These can be purchased with or without fringes.
Our women's line of t-shirts currently do not include fringes, but if that's something you desire, send us a DM at PeculiarApparel_ on Instagram, or send us an email at help@PeculiarApparel.com.
So once again, that is PeculiarApparel.com.
Peculiar Apparel for peculiar people.
Shalom, shalom, family. Shalom, Akim, brother Aaron, brother Daniel. First off, shalom, shalom. First off, just want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, whose name is Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai. That's in the name of his son, whose name is Yahweh Shai, who most know as Jesus Christ. And Brother Aaron's going to be bringing forth the lesson today. And brother, you can give him the title.
Khan, shalom, family, shalom. The title for this evening is The Importance of Meditating on God's Instruction. Again, I want to say all praises, or if I haven't said it already, I want to say all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, whose true name is Yahweh, and I do so in the name of his beloved son, Yahweh Shai. Brother Hurt, did you want to touch on anything before I got into it?
Nah, except for, the same old. If y'all watching, if you could go ahead and give us a like on the video, share. If you are able to access the @highlight feature or the followers feature, make sure you @highlight or @follow, so that other people can be able to see this content. And just the water for tuning in, and all praise to the Most High. And if you're watching this on the replay, we also ask that you do the same thing.
Most definitely. And I'll echo the same sentiments. Let me pin this comment. Make sure to like the video, make sure to comment, show us that you're actually here and live with us, and also share the video as well. And as the brother mentioned, utilize the @highlight feature to ping everybody that's on your friends list. So without anything further, I'll get into the lesson. Once again, the title is The Importance of Meditating on God's Instruction. And real quick, I want to start with the book of Psalm. And let me share my screen, right? We're going to start with the book of Psalm, chapter 1. And this is a relatively popular psalm. People know about this one. A lot of people, they could quote it. But if you can, my brother, if you could see this, can you read Psalm chapter 1, verse 1 through 2?
This is the book of Psalms, first chapter, starting at the first verse. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night.
God. So, this is important because it says the one that delights in the law of the Most High is blessed. Now, if you look at the particular word there for the word law, it goes back to the Hebrew word, which is Torah, which means teaching or instruction. So this particular passage is emphasizing meditation of the instruction or teaching of the Most High. Now let's look at the word for meditate, because this particular word meditate, it gets really deep, right? Matter of fact, I don't think I pulled the source up, but we can still go here It's the root word 1897 Haggah. And when you look at the blue letter like Bible Hub or something like that, it's gonna tell you, it's just gonna say like meditate, muse, devise, to imagine. You'll see to ponder, and that's pretty good, right? But when you look at, deeper and more mechanical lexicons that go into the language on a deeper level, and I got one right here, and I'll quote this from my notes. It's called the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible. Um, the outline for 1897, which is the word meditate in Psalm 1 and 2, it says it means to ponder and then also to be in continual contemplation over a matter. Right. And again, that's from the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible. And that's by Jeff Benner. And if anybody wants that source, y'all could just comment below. Even for the people that watch this video later on, right? But again, just getting back to the initial point, we see in Psalm that it said you'll be blessed if you continually meditate or ponder, or think on the instruction of the Most High. So next, just continuing on, let's go to the book of Romans chapter 2, right? Go to Romans 2, and you can read 17 through 18.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 2, starting at the 17th verse. Behold, thou art called a Jew, and restest in the law, and makest thy boast of God, and knowest his will, and approvest the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law.
Okay. So the Apostle Paul, who wrote Romans, or the book of Romans, he considered them that were instructed of the law, which is the Torah right here in this instance, to know the will of the Most High, right? And when you go into the particular word for will, this deals with what the Most High desires, right? Let's just pull it up. I believe it's going to be Thelema, right? But my laptop is taking a little while. Hey, can you hear me still?
Gone.
Okay. But I got a screenshot of it. It's G2307 Thelema, and it says what one wishes or has determined shall be done. And then also you look at some of these things. It says of God, what He wishes to be done by us, and then it includes commandments and precepts, right? So when you look at this particular definition, it says, basically the Most High's desire or pleasure. So basically, the Apostle Paul is teaching that what the Most High wants and doesn't want is found in the law. And if you're instructed or have been taught from the law, then you'll know what the Most High wants and doesn't want, right? And just to kind of validate this even further, let's go to the book of Romans, chapter 7 and verse 7.
This is the book of Romans, starting at the 7th verse, chapter 7. So, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law, for I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet.
Come. So the Apostle Paul is teaching that he learned sin by what the law said. That's why he mentioned lusting and coveting. And we see that, this particular concept taught in other places. But even with this example, the Apostle Paul is saying that he would not have known that lusting or coveting after something that, is not for you to have is sinful or wrong, because, obviously he hadn't read the law. So until he read the law, he didn't know those things were wrong. But the law instructs you on what's wrong in the sight of the Most High and what's correct in the sight of the Most High. Right, but let's continue on. Let's go to the book of 1 John chapter 1. It's like not chapter 1. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4.
It's the book of 1 John, in the 3rd chapter, starting at the 4th verse. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
Right. So it says, whoever commits sin transgresses the law, meaning violating the law is sin. Now, let's go to an example, within the law where an instruction of the Most High was violated and it was called sin, right? And this again is just, showing the importance of meditating on the instruction of the Most High, because you're able to learn about these instances and these principles, right? Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 32. And brother, if you can, you could read just Exodus 32 and 1.
That's the book of Exodus, chapter 32, starting at the first verse. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of Egypt, out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him.
Right. So we or our ancestors were complaining about how long it was taking Moses to come down from the mount, the mount of God, right? Where he was communicating with the Most High. And real quick, just in case you're not familiar with this particular history, let's jump to the book of Exodus, and we can pull up Exodus 24, and you can read verses 12 through 16. And we're going to go through it a little bit. We're going to go through this account. Just read verse 12 on down to 16.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 24, starting at the 12th verse. And the Lord said unto Moses, Come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone, and the law and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua, and Moses went up into the mount of God. And he said unto the elders, Tarry ye here for us, until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai. And the cloud covered it 6 days, and the seventh day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud.
Okay. So at the beginning of this particular chapter, the people, what's happened is we've bonded ourselves to the covenant with the Most High. And Moses is called by the Most High to receive the tablets and the written commandments from Yahweh, so that he could teach Israel, and we see, how he goes up to the Mount of God. And so we could jump down. Let's read verse 18.
And Moses went into the midst of the cloud, and gat him up into the mount. And Moses was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights.
Okay, so as we see the scene is set, the Most High, or excuse me, Moses, he's going up to the Mount of God, and we see that it's written out or explicitly shown how long he's gonna be on the Mount of God, communicating with the Most High and getting that which is to be given to to the children of Israel to command to listen to, right, or our instruction from the Most High, right. And in verse 18 it said 40 days and nights, so during this particular time, Moses would be receiving the word from the Most High to give to us. Now, let's keep in mind, that this is, again, 40 days, 40 nights, that's over a month. So let's jump back to Exodus 32, because as we're reading Exodus 32, we have to keep in mind that all of the chapters between, Moses, he's been on the mount receiving the word from the Most High to give to Israel. So he hasn't even been with them, physically speaking. He's been away from them. So let's see how that's turned out, right? Let's jump down to Exodus 32. Matter of fact, read verse 1 and 2.
This is the book of Exodus, the 32nd chapter, starting at the first verse. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings, which are the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me.
So basically, our people lost patience, and they asked Aaron, the brother of Moses, could he make gods for them? And Aaron proceeds to do so, and he fashions a golden calf, for them to worship. Now let's jump down to verses 6 through 7.
And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and to drink, and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go get thee down, for that people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves.
So it said they rose up to play, and that's at the end of verse 6. And this, encompassed them committing idolatry. It mentioned different offerings and things like that. But all of this is encompassing idolatry. So the Most High said to Moses, as you read in verse 7, go back down from the mount because of what our people were indulging in. And he said they had corrupted themselves. And when you look at that particular word for corrupted, it's the Hebrew word shachat, or it goes back to the root word shachat, which means to damage or destroy. And in this sense, it's dealing ethically in that particular sense, right? To morally damage yourself, and because they've committed idolatry, they've damaged themselves, right? They've committed what we would call spiritual fornication. You see that concept in the Book of Wisdom of Solomon, Revelation, a plethora of places throughout Scripture, right? Let's jump down to verse 8.
They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
So it said they turned aside from what the Most High commanded. Now, real quick, let's look at the instruction regarding the command that they actually broke and turned aside from. Let's go to the book of Exodus, 12 chapters earlier. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 3, and you can read on down to 4.
This is the book of Exodus, the 20th chapter, starting at the 3rd verse. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Right. So the Most High commanded to have no other gods before him, and also not to make gods or deities out of the aforementioned materials, which would include silver and gold, etc. Now, let's jump down to Exodus 20 and 23.
Ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold.
So, right here, we see this instruction regarding idolatry is, stated at least twice, but for this particular account and instance in Exodus 32. So now let's jump back to Exodus 32, right? And let's show that violating this particular command, within the instruction of the Most High. And let's show how it was regarded as, and it was called sin, right? Let's go to Exodus 32 and 19. And you can read 19 through 21.
This is 32nd chapter of the book of Exodus, starting at the 19th verse. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands, and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made, and burnt it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it. And Moses said unto Aaron, What did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them?
So Moses, he was angry with the people, and he broke the tablets according to this particular account. And then he burnt the calf into powder and made them drink it, and asked Aaron, what was done to him to make him bring such great a sin on them. And again, when we continue to keep this in context, we see that sin is in reference to them violating the instruction of the Most High that was given, basically saying not to worship other gods nor to fashion them out of silver and gold. So we see the precedence for what is written in 1 John 1 and 3 that says violating the instruction of the Most High sin. The writers of the Johannine epistles, or the Epistle of John, they get that from seeing accounts like this, saying that, hey, if I violate what God instructed, that's sin. That's wrong, right? And when you look at the word sin, it means in some languages, like in the Greek language, and also it's similar in the Hebrew. It means to miss the mark or to not get it correct, right? So moving forward and emphasizing again the title, meditation of the instruction of the Most High. It's vital because not only does it instruct us on what to do and what not to do, but it also gives us examples. And a lot of times it shows us the outcome of what can happen when we lose sight of focus, or pondering on the Most High's instructions, because this is what our people did in this particular account. Because as I'm going to touch on in a little bit, a lot of our people got destroyed, after doing so. You'll even read later on in, I want to say Exodus 32, how Moses, he even says to, or we see how, every man, he started to slay his neighbor, right? I believe that's later on in Exodus 32, right? But let's jump to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, and we're going to start at 1, and you can read on down to verse 5.
This is the 10th chapter of the book of 1 Corinthians, starting at the first verse. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was the Messiah. But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness.
God. So the Apostle Paul makes mention of our forefathers in the wilderness, and how the Most High ended up not being pleased with them. And we could read about this in the book of Psalm 95, and also throughout the Torah itself, the first 5 books. But an explicit example within the first 5 books is what we just read in Exodus 32, about the golden calf, right? And the Apostle Paul, he's literally gonna cite this particular example. Let's read verse 6 through 8.
Now these things were our examples, to the intent we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted. Neither be ye idolaters, as were some of them, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed, and fell in one day 23,000.
Okay. And again, that's in reference to what we just read in Exodus 32. And as I mentioned, initially it said that these things were our examples, right? And the Apostle Paul, he says, for the intent of not lusting or desiring evil things as our ancestors did. And then it goes on again to quote Exodus 32, where it said they sat down and, to eat, drink, and rose up to play. And then it mentions the fact that many of them were killed for this idolatry. As you read at the end, close to the end of Exodus 32, we see a great slaying occur. Then in verse 8, it said, let us not tempt the Mashiach or the Messiah as our ancestors tempted and were destroyed by the serpents. And this is a particular reference to the book of Numbers, the 21st chapter, right? Where it showed the serpents, that were biting the people and they would die, right? And then even Yahushua, he even references this in John 3. But you can continue to. Now we're gonna jump to Sirach 6, right? But again, if you can continue to read on in this particular account, the Apostle Paul, he emphasizes, how our ancestors, within the wilderness, by and large, by their actions, they served as examples, and a lot of times bad ones, and so these accounts, they're written for our admonition, meaning our warning, so as we read, in Torah, as we read in the Psalms and also the apostles' writings, we see the emphasis on the importance, to meditate and ponder on the instruction of the Most High, because we were able to look at the good and the bad examples, and we can also look at what's good in the sight of the Most High and what's bad or evil in the sight of the Most High, right? But again, let me pull this up. And
I got a point too. So I'm gonna go to Joshua 7 and read verses 20 through 22, or I guess 23, and it reads, and Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against the Lord God of Israel, and thus have I done. When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them and took them. And behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran into the tent. And behold, it was hid in his tent, and the silver under it. And they took them out of the midst of the tent, and brought them into Joshua and to all the children of Israel, and laid them out before the Lord. So we see, just like the precept that the brother just brought out before was talking about, basically coveting or lusting after things that could cause you to actually sin against the Most High God. So we see that this was a thing. And he said that he sinned against God. He didn't sin against the person who he actually, went and took these things from, or who he coveted from. He sinned against the Most High God by doing this. And so I'm going to grab another scripture in Romans 7. And I guess we read verse 7. Let me get back to it. Yeah, Romans 7 and 7. And it says, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law said, Thou shalt not covet. So, so many people will say that, Paul is teaching that we don't have to keep the law anymore. But he right here is saying the same thing that those that were in the Old Testament that we see accounts of were saying. That, if it wasn't for the law, he wouldn't know what coveting was. And we just read the account about Achan saying that he sinned against God by coveting. So it's definitely, showing that the law, when you break the laws of God, you sin against God. So there's no way that can change. And now all of a sudden we can do these things that God said don't do, and we not sinning against him. But man, good lesson so far.
God, all praises, and definitely a beautiful point, man. All praises to the Most High for you bringing that out. Kind of so just continuing on, we could jump to the book of Sirach, chapter 6, and we're gonna read verse 37.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 6, I believe, starting at the 36th verse.
37.
37th verse.
That's right. You could read 30. I like that verse 36. You can start at 36, read down to 37.
All right. And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto them, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door. Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart, and give thee wisdom at thine own desire.
Kind of, and real quick, Trudy, even when you start at 35, like, this is an incredible and beautiful wisdom, but so at least dealing with 36, right? It said that if you see a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and that means really early. Get around somebody with great understanding and wisdom early. Get around them, and then it says, "Let thy foot wear the steps of his door," meaning can continually, bother that person. Try to pick their brain. It's just like how I know of a lot of parents, and I've even been given this wisdom before, or this instruction before, to befriend, the smarter kids in the class, because they have the understanding, they have a very good grasp of the topic and which we're scholars in at the particular moment in time, whether it be within algebra, geometry, world history, etc. So you need to get around those people, so that you can, have success in the particular field that you're within, right? And so I'm glad the brother read that, right? But dealing with 37, it basically, it says that, if if your mind is on the ordinances, which is included in the instruction of the Most High, and you meditate on his commandments, it says that the Most High will give you wisdom at your own heart's desire. And, a quick point, that particular word for meditate, it's the Greek corresponding word that goes back to that particular word in Psalm 1, right? And, so again, just continuing on with the point, this is another account that emphasizes the importance and also the benefit of meditating and pondering on the instruction of the Most High. But if you're, not constantly pondering on the instruction of the Most High, and not making it your first priority, to do his will, or the things that he desires of us, then you'll more than likely lack, when it comes to wisdom. You'll lack wisdom, you'll lack the understanding and the way to apply such things, right? Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 5. So like in not verse 5, verse 4. Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 4.
For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell on the body that is subject unto sin.
So it says, into a malicious soul, wisdom will not enter, nor the body that is subject to sin. And when, and I could provide anybody that wants it, but when you look at the particular word that's there for malicious soul, it's the word kakoteknan, right? Which means an evil child or an evil offspring. So within the wicked, in their seed, the wisdom of the Most High won't dwell. But we learn from Sirach that keeping your mind on the instructions of the Most High will bring wisdom. And we also learn this in the book of Psalm, and throughout the rest of the scriptures. But real quick, let's pull this up in Psalm chapter 111 and verse 10, right? And I'm gonna have you read it in a different translation. Let's pull it up in the NET because I think it's a little bit more accurate in this particular translation. But you can read this.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 111, starting at the 10th verse. To obey the Lord is the fundamental principle for wise living. All who carry out his precepts acquire good moral insight. He will receive praise forever.
Khan. So it said the fundamental principle is to obey the Most High. And this is the chief showing of wisdom. And them who obey the commandments receive good understanding from the Most High. And again, that's through the influence of the Holy Spirit, of course, which works in us, the power to utilize the wisdom and to apply it. And, and it also helps, discipline us, to stay focused on the Most High's instruction and not the lust and desires of our flesh, right? So we see that, all this is connected to meditating on the Most High and his instruction. But, just to harp on the last point about, being influenced with, the Spirit, because, I feel the need to harp on this because there are a lot of people, that will say, hey, like I have faith and, I have the Holy Spirit, and so for that reason, I don't have to meditate on the Torah or the law, but, similar to how we read, about wisdom, not dwelling in a malicious soul, nor a body that's subject to sin. This understanding walks with, what the scriptures say about the Holy Spirit also. So real quick, let's jump to the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 5.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, starting at the 5th verse. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit.
Right. So them that walk after the flesh do mind, meaning to think or to ponder the things of the flesh. So basically, they're more interested in the things of the flesh, which include, all manner of wickedness and sin, which is violating the Torah. But them that walk after the Spirit, they mind or ponder the things of the Spirit. And again, as we've read many a times, I believe it's in the book of Romans 7, we know that the law of God is spiritual. That's, I believe, Romans 7 and 12, right? But let's continue on. Let's read verse 6 and 7.
For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be.
Right. So to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. And it said the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, and it's not subject to the law or the instruction of the Most High, and it can't be. So having a carnal mindset in a mind that focuses on non-spiritual things, will have you hostile against the Most High and his instruction. But with the spiritual mindset, the Most High is with you. And, the best way for you to maintain the right mind is by meditating on the instruction and following the Messiah's footsteps, as we read within the Synoptic Gospels. That's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? And real quick, let's look at his outlook. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 4, start at 31, and you can read 31 through 34.
This is the book of John, 4th chapter, starting at the 31st verse. And the meanwhile his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, Hath any man brought him aught to eat? The Messiah said unto them, My meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work.
Right. So the disciples, of the Mashiach, they asked him to eat some food. That's what they're asking him in the 31st verse. And Yahushua responded by saying he had food that they knew not of. And he expounded on it and showed, that it wasn't physical food, but what sufficed him was doing the will of the Most High and finishing the work. And again, if you look at that word will, it's that same Greek word from earlier for will, thalima, right? Which is dealing with the desires of the Most High. So we have to be the same way, and again, just to draw like a contemporary example, we see how athletes today, a lot of times they'll say, like they're so obsessed with their sport, they eat, sleep, and study that particular sport that they're a part of. We have to, consume and immerse ourselves with this particular walk and, adequate obedience to the Most High's instructions in that same way. And we can only do that by minding the things of the Spirit, and it doesn't get any more spiritual than the Most High's word and instruction. So that's pretty much all for tonight. Most High willing, it was helpful to somebody, and if any brothers, y'all want to comment on it, y'all want to bring anything out else, then it's on y'all. But that's all I have for tonight.
Khan, beautiful listen. All praise to the Most High, man. I don't have anything. Just the water to you for being able to bring the lesson out. The water to Brother Daniel for the reading.
Khan, all praises. Yeah, definitely big the water to the brother Daniel for being able to read. Definitely big the water to the brother Hurt for opening up the platform, faithfully week in and week out. So yeah, if there'll be nothing else, we could close it out. And we're gonna close it out with Numbers 6 and 24 on down. It says, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. And with that, I'll say Shalom.
Shalom, Makim. Shalom, family.
Shalom.
It ain't for everybody. 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 Yeah, many you call, but few get chosen. Matthew 22 and 14. My righteousness gonna exceed that of the Pharisees.